James, as many of you will know, is also a leading climate change sceptic and has written widely on this subject. He is a member of both UKIP and the Conservative Party. Everyone can agree on that.
I think that June the 24th, Independence Day, is going to live in our memories as one of those "where were you when you heard the news" days. And it's going to be like Kennedy's assassination, but in a good way. I was in bed when I heard the news. Had I but known, I would have stayed up all night. I set the alarm early because I was on my way to Glastonbury Festival. I wanted to go and inspect all the Remain people, and to celebrate the fact that their votes were clearly not going to go into the referendum because they were all smoking drugs at Glastonbury, as is their prerogative as Remainers. And I woke up, and my wife, who was already awake, said, "We've won." I said, "I don't believe it," I said. The first thing I did was I turned on the TV so that I could bathe in the tears of the BBC presenters, trying to pretend that they were completely unaffected. Who was the hedgie who made 220 million? Crispin Odey. God, yes. Yeah, my son said, is at school with his son, he said, "Odey's dad's done all right out of this." Rather jealously, like, why haven't I got a dad like that? I've probably made maximum 500 quid out of it, but it wasn't about that, was it? It was about the winning. That was what it was. That feel good factor. Whenever I think about that day, I get a warm glow in my heart. It's my special happy place that I go to. I think we've learned something rather surprising, and what I've felt for most of my life is that I was an outsider politically, and what I think we've all learned, much to our surprise, my surprise certainly, is that we are the majority. We are not the 48%, not the whiny 48%, but the victorious 52%. The second thing we've learned, not that we didn't know this already, the establishment elite does not represent us. I don't think we've got anything against elites per se. For example, if we were being held hostage, I think we would rather have the cream of our military, the SAS, come and rescue us rather than, say, I don't know, the Salvation Army, say, for want of that. I like grammar schools. I like public schools. I like academic excellence. I like selection. I believe in all that stuff. But there's another kind of elite. I noticed, and Charles is the exception to this, one of the exceptions, how many of the smart people that I knew, the OEs and so on, how remarkably few of them were on my side of the argument. You ought to care about Britain and 1066 and all that, and Cressy and Agincourt and all the other times we've beaten the French, Blenheim, Ramillies, Oudenarde, Malplaquet, Trafalgar, etc., etc. And they really could not come up with any convincing argument. It was all vague stuff, like maybe if Jonty and Hermione wanted to go and do a bit of work in Paris for BNP Paribas or something, they might have difficulties, or they want to go and do their gap year in Florence. It might prove tricky. I want to just finally talk about the other point, which I think we've learned. And again, it's a really encouraging thing, I think. There have been times over the years where I've been slightly depressed about democracy as a concept. I thought that the 23rd of June was going to be the final nail in the coffin of people who believe in smaller government and free markets and Britain generally. I thought that was over. Instead, what happened? Something truly remarkable. The people spoke and made the right decision. There was one really nasty moment towards the end, and we all know what it was, when Joe Cox was murdered. And I think a lot of us thought at that stage it was over. Particularly the way it was being slyly exploited by the Remain campaign. Actually, people in Sunderland or wherever, when they're placing their vote, they don't think, if I vote Leave, as I want to do, that'll make me a bad person and that'll make me complicit in the random murder of an MP by a madman. So we can discuss what's going to happen next, but I think for the moment, let's all give ourselves an enormous round of applause for doing so bloody well.